Welcome back to the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You're listening to Get Down to Business, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Dan Lano and Bobby Lucas from the national law firm of Dinsmore. Welcome, Dan. Welcome, Bobby.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
It's great.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you both. So your firm is a national law firm focusing on, well, a number of different areas. We're going to get into it. Chicago-based, I believe. Is that accurate?
Actually, Cincinnati-based.
Cincinnati-based.
I think Bobby can probably talk more about the general nature of the firm.
Well, that's great, Bobby. Do you mind telling us a little bit about the firm and the talent that you have within the firm?
Sure, absolutely. Firm was founded in 1908 in Cincinnati. We are in the Chicago office, Dan and I, along with about 30 other attorneys, 650 attorneys across the country. We've got about 25 offices in 14 states, and wide full-service law firm. Intellectual property, as Dan, I'm sure we'll talk more about. I chair our corporate department across the firm, litigation, labor and employment, as well as public finance, and a lot of different practice areas within those groups as well. But yeah, it's 100+ year firm, something to be proud of.
Absolutely, you should be very proud of that, and indeed, many offices and serving many clients. So, Dan, back over to you. Intellectual property for our listeners that's not familiar, perhaps with that terminology. Tell us a little bit about the types of things where you get involved and why a business owner would need to be working with somebody like you.
Well, intellectual property falls into a number of buckets. The one that a lot of people are most familiar with is patents, which protects inventions. What I do mostly is I do trademarks, which basically protects your brand and protects your brand as a source identifier to your customers. So how your customers find you is what your trademark is. And I think it's really important for entrepreneurs to really focus on this because when they start a business, they select a brand, and when they get bigger, they might have different needs. And one of the things that they want to avoid is when they finally get to the point where they're growing and they're really getting big, if they have a problem with a prior trademark owner that used that trademark before they started their business, they could have to rebrand or have to get into either litigation or any other legal trouble that they definitely want to avoid at that growth stage in their business cycle. So what we can do is we can vet that trademark before they actually start using it, and we can help them file a trademark application so their business is protected from a branding standpoint as they grow, and so they can focus on their business growth rather than any sort of side problems that they might have legally with their brand.
So you're saying, Dan, that a patent or trademark is not just for names of companies that sound like Facebook or Schmacebook or something like that, that actually any small business might actually want to protect their intellectual property as well.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I think it's really important for small businesses because they have brands too. I mean, every business basically has ways that people find them. And I think in the era of COVID, businesses are starting to brand in different ways, and they're starting to be really creative. They can't do events, they can't do promotions like they maybe used to, so they're doing stuff like SEO, and they're doing online marketing in a different way. And they might be coming up with different taglines, or different product areas such as PPP that they're focusing more heavily on. And when a business shifts focus like that, their branding might change too. And more importantly, if you use a trademark on a different product area, then that needs to be vetted as well, because basically trademarks are used in a particular realm, and you can stay within your lane and be fine. But if you go out in that lane, you can maybe infringe somebody else.
Well, Dan, I think you just answered my other question, which is why you would need to hire an attorney. It's clearly a very complicated area, lots of areas that you could be tripped up. And Bobby, you are a managing partner with the firm. And as you mentioned just a moment ago, sort of that comprehensive approach, your attorneys spanning all of those many, many offices can provide a lot of, call it outside counsel to a business, big business or small business needs. What are some of the areas that you're hearing from your clients in this era of COVID? What are some of the trends that perhaps people should know about so they can think about perhaps putting in a call to the good counsel at Dinsmore?
Yeah, I think a lot of action recently has been around labor in the labor and employment space. It's just a very different world. A lot of the legislation that's come out, a lot of clients with a lot of questions, needs. Unfortunately, a lot of folks are experiencing layoffs and furloughs. Counseling folks through those HR issues, as well as kind of the different work environment, right? People are located not in offices necessarily anymore, and perhaps for the foreseeable future, there's a whole litany of issues that can come from that, whether it be tax implications of having employees in different places than you might otherwise, as well as cybersecurity and privacy needs. And those are the types of things that will impact any company, whether big or small, early stage, or you've been around for dozens and dozens of years. Kind of runs a gamut. But those are some of the issues we've seen pop up in the last 6-7 months since we've been in the midst of the pandemic.
Yeah, and I will note that as I was doing research for our conversation, I did notice that on your website, which I'll ask you to share in just a moment, you actually have a designated area on your services page about COVID-19 Business Strategies Hub. And indeed, I guess this is something that is really a hot topic. So, I'll ask you again in a couple of minutes, but how can people learn about the firm? Where can people get in touch with you guys?
Well,
yeah, so we're online. We're online at www.dinsmore.com. That shows our full offering. Find any of the attorneys. Check out all of our offices, our footprint, and check out the bios and all the service offerings as Shalom mentioned.
Absolutely. Dinsmore.com. And we're going to be back on Get Down's Business. Got to squeeze in a very quick break. You're listening to the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I am back here in studio with Dan Lano and over the phone with Bobby Lucas from the law firm of Dinsmore. And Dan, we were just talking a moment ago about all of the many services that your firm provides. You are very focused on the intellectual property, which means you work with a lot of creative folks, business owners that have a lot of ideas. So COVID-19, maybe the silver lining is that people have had more time to brainstorm, to develop their business ideas. I know you and I met through networking, actually virtual networking. So this is the first time that we've been meeting in person. What are you hearing across the Chicago area from business owners?
Well, I think basically people are just trying to do the best they can. And I think it's kind of the luck of the draw, what industry you're in, whether or not you were hit by COVID. And I think in general, the businesses that are really out there and that I meet are trying to find a way around some of the restrictions, which are completely understandable, and trying to make their business work. And what we can do is whatever they have as in terms of a problem legally, we can make sure that whatever our solutions are, they're cost effective and that they can protect themselves. So, for example, if somebody's into making branded masks or something like that, that is something that's big right now, and we have a lot of interest in the trademark realm. Just not for my clients necessarily, but all sorts of trademark applications are being filed for some things that a company might not file a trademark application for. And this is something that we can vet. And also, if somebody is using a brand that's too close to yours in terms of a mask or an item of PPP, we can look at that as well. So that's one of the things that we also do is if somebody gets in your lane, we can enforce your trademark and let you know whether or not you need to enforce it. So that's in addition to the preventative measures I discussed before. That's something we can address as well.
Absolutely. And so you work with a lot of creative folks, a lot of businesses. Bobby was just saying before about the breadth of the firm, and certainly COVID-19 dealing with a lot of employment-related issues. But on your website, you also have folks that focus on healthcare, all sorts of different industries. So the firm based in Cincinnati, but your Chicago office, how many attorneys are located in Chicago?
I think we have 30, although we're growing
and probably a lot of people are remote right now.
Our building's really been good about the social distancing and making sure that everything is okay from that perspective. But in general, the firm has been really supportive about us working from home, and we follow all the guidelines. And I generally come into the city if I have a business meeting with people who are comfortable with with meeting in person. But for the most part, one of the silver linings to this is I get to spend more time with my wife and kids at home, and have a good office with good Wi-Fi set up. So that's something I can do as well.
And I'm sure if your kids come up with any good entrepreneurial adventures, I'm sure their dad will gladly protect their intellectual property, which is important. So Dan Lano and Bobby Lucas, we are just about out of time, and I want to make sure our listeners know where they can reach you. Again, can you share a website and any contact information?
Dinsmore.com. You can find everything there. We have a good synopsis of all of the practice areas, including the trademark group, which I'm a part of, as well as the corporate department, which Bobby chairs. But whatever your legal needs, you can just look it up, and you can probably find your way to the right professionals. So,
a great website, and again, a COVID-19 hub for all of the many things, which is our new reality. And I guess with that, I'll tell people a reminder to stay safe, wash your hands, stay socially distant, and definitely, we'll get through this together. But again, Dinsmore.com, Dan Lano and Bobby Lucas, thank you so much for joining me on the air and providing a wealth of knowledge and information for our listeners.
Thank you for having us. It's been fun.
Absolutely. And once again, you're listening to Get Down to Business. Get on my website, shalomklein.com. That's where you can download podcasts from the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. You can subscribe and rate and review, because right after we get off the air, we produce this right into a podcast. If you rate and review, it makes it easier for other people to find it. You are listening to Get Down to Business to Success. We'll talk to you next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560, The Answer.